take the time to read the names and bios of some people that were recognized as like key figures in the gaming accessibility space. So I hope you guys will stick around with me. And if not, I hope you all have a good day. And at the very end of the stream, I'm going to um, talk about what accessibility means in a broader context, and also like why I think representation ties into that. So without further ado, let us get started, yo. All right. So sorry if I don't look at chat because I'm mostly going to be in the other window, and my reading aloud skills aren't so great because my lazy eyes and the CP. So if I mispronounce your name, or if I sound really weird trying to read, you know, full one. All right, dudes, let's do this. So the first person we have here is Mr. Adam Campbell. Um, is the director of product at Azumi slash DaVinci, the world's fastest growing kids media company, and co-founder of POC and Play, the largest racial advocacy group in Europe for video games. He is also a member of the British Academy of Film and Television Arts. Some of you might know that as BAFTA, and the board at, I don't know how to say that, UKIE, because I'm not going to try to acronymify it. Um, the UK Interactive Entertainment Trade Body. Okay, that makes more sense. And award-winning producer. With a career spanning over a decade in video games, he held previous roles at studios such as Miniclip, Sega, and Jagex. He's a black British games industry professional who has been in the sector for over 11 years now. He loves the perfect chemistry of art and science and music and storytelling. I'm gonna make this bigger because my eyes are bad. I'm gonna break the layout of your website. Sorry. Um, he loves the perfect chemistry of art, science, music, and storytelling that games offer, and he wants to create experiences for everyone to enjoy. Um, my eyes, dude. Oh my god. I need glasses. Um, Beyond that, he has long had a passion for representation um, in and access to the industry for marginalized people, despite the challenges, the percentages, and the conflict. Wait, yeah, the percentages and the conflict. They're doing amazing stuff through POC and Play and broad collaboration throughout the industry. Um, he dreams of a place where there are no barriers to entry, where anyone can bring their creative visions to life. Yo, that's what's up, dude. Next, we have Agnes Larson. Agnes Larson is based in Stockholm, Sweden, and is the lead gameplay developer of Minecraft. She also loved games since she was about 3 years old, and she loves creating her own stories within the games she plays. In 2016, she started as a programmer and designer of Minecraft. Um, she has designed and coded many features for Minecraft, such as turtles, icebergs, and the new villages, and is now leading her team as they craft new and exciting uh, adventures and experiences for players, um, bringing happiness and inspiration to millions of players, meeting players, and the diversity of the Minecraft community are huge motivations for Agnes. She really wants Minecraft to already be for everyone, but she is also aware that inclusivity and accessibility are. Oh my gosh. Sorry, dudes. Uh, and accessibility always can and must be improved to craft Minecraft updates for everyone that create as much player delight as possible is her goal and passion. In the future, Agnes hopes um, games truly will be for everyone. Games should be accessible, um, represent the beautiful diversity of humanity, and should attract an even wider audience and group of players. She loves the idea that games can make the world a better place. Dude, so about that, like, I guess this stream is gonna be short, so never mind what I said about that. But um, the funny thing is, right? Like, games can teach you a lot about life, right? Um, the one thing I learned playing games as a kid is the freedom to fail, right? My family wasn't all about that, but one thing I learned is that failure is a necessity because when you have the freedom to fail in a safe sandbox, it teaches you to try again, one, to not give up, two, to exercise different approaches to problem solving. Those can be convergent approaches and divergent approaches. Usually, when we're talking about games, convergent approaches are approaches where um, the solution to a problem is designed and presented by the designer in such a way that there is a fixed sequence to um, solve a problem. And divergent approaches we usually think of as uh, cheaters' ways or creative ways of solving a puzzle, um, such as rocket jumping when that feature wasn't necessarily intended to reach a height that you otherwise wouldn't be able to, or you need a different power to do so. Um, like, as much as people like to think of games as just a diversion, they actually help people develop very key skills that are very, very applicable to other areas of life. Sorry for the rant. Next, Alexandra Korovilnikova. All right, I'm so bad at names. Uh, she was born in a cold, desolate city in the middle of Russia. She met her friend Nikita on the internet and decided to start a game studio with a simple vision. Um, and make this even bigger because my eyes are even worse. Okay, now I broke the layout. Hold up. All right, we're good. We're good. Make art and make rent and help others do the same. Uh, Today, EggNet is a fully grown, decentralized collective of 17 individuals based in 6 countries, and they are making their first game, a detective noir adventure, um, Backbone. It is a story based on the real experience of growing up in a dystopian state with a rigid social order, dictating who you can be and who you can never attempt to become. The freedom to be true to herself is a privilege and the most important thing in her life, and she strives to manifest it through every facet of her work. The games Sophia makes, the happiness of her team, and the empowerment of artists that will come after them. The future of gaming is diverse and inclusive. It is a space where creators can speak up without fear and make games about who they really are. She hopes to come together. She hopes we can all come together and tirelessly work for change through kindness, true actionable exclusivity or inclusivity rather. Sorry, true actionable inclusivity, and of course art. That's what happens when we can't read. Um, I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to butcher it. Blessing Adeoye Jr. is a host and producer for Kind of Funny. Um, since joining Kind of Funny at the beginning of 2020, Blessing has become one of the hosts. of Kind of Funny Games Daily, where every weekday a rotating cast of industry experts um, report on the biggest news in gaming. Um, Blessing also hosts on PS I Love You XOXO, where he joins Greg Miller weekly to discuss the PlayStation brand on most of the recognized PlayStation podcasts worldwide. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad. Blessing grew up in Champaign, Illinois. As an avid console gamer and a fan of podcasts and YouTube content, this motivated Blessing to begin making his own content with the goal of creating more space for people of color and diverse voices in gaming. In 2016, Blessing founded OK Beast. OK Beast was a home for podcasts and essays reporting on video games and surrounding cultures. After managing OK Beast for 4 years, Blessing joined Kind of Funny, where he continues to push for elevating diverse voices and constructive commentary. For Blessing, the future of gaming involves making video games not only a vibrant medium, but also an inclusive one. This involves including different voices in media, having diverse development teams, and elevating um, creative new ideas. So, I kind of wanted to say something real quick about why this is important, right? Let me give you an example of what not to do. And this is the reason I quit playing The Sims. A few years ago, in an interview, um, someone asked Will Wright um, if he would ever add models, characters that are wheelchairs to the Sims franchise. And basically, he said no. Why would anybody want to see that? Nobody wants to. That was his whole line of thinking. And when you do that, you have people like me who will no longer play your games. And the reason that kind of thinking is dangerous is because it normalizes um, ostracizing people based on differing physicalities or whatever other differences exist. And so, if the modding community has fixed that problem since then in The Sims, drop me a comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, or maybe if you're in chat right now, let me know. But for now, that's one of the reasons I will not be playing The Sims anymore. I will spend more time promoting and supporting people like these lovely people on this list. And I might just have the computer read these out loud and randomly talk after each of them, depending on how the next one goes. Shoot. Brandon Cole. This fine gentleman's over here. Brandon Cole from Columbus, Ohio, is an accessibility consultant in the video games industry. Most notably, he worked on The Last of Us 2 and is responsible for many of its blind accessibility features. Um, he works to bring accessibility wherever he can as a consultant or an educator. He loves to talk about accessibility in person, on his Twitch streams, or via his blog, and is always willing to answer questions about it. Gaming is his passion. To Brandon, gaming is escapism. Um, it allows you to become someone or something else for a time and experience wonderful, incredible stories that you couldn't experience in your life. Brandon sees an accessible future for gaming. He sees a world in which the blind are playing the same games as the sighted, having conversations, and joining the same communities. As we continue to work um, toward accessibility, he believes it will happen more and more. So, you know, I'm gonna admit, like, I didn't initially think about like, blind people playing video games until I think it was around like 2008. I ran into, I I think it was around 2008, maybe 2010 at the latest. I ran into a dude playing Mortal Kombat named Sightless Combat on the internet, and he freaking blew my mind because he's super duper good. And I was like, wait a minute, are you sure you can't see? Because, dude, all I saw was a video of like his gameplay, and I didn't see him. And I was like, this dude is badass. And then when I found out he was blind, I wanted to know more about how he was playing Mortal Kombat. And it was because of the amazing sound design that he was able to tell where the characters were. Um, he learned all the moves. Um, and he learned a bunch of combos and kicked ass. And I was like, you know what? This is very cool, and more of this needs to happen. Um, so, for those of you that are thinking the word is video games, how can blind people play video games? Just stop that, dude. Just stop that. Just think of it as a game. Everybody should be able to play whatever game they want to the fullest extent possible. And that's going to be my general stance, like about anything. I'm just saying. Kantika is one of the most popular hijab streamers in Indonesia. She grew up in with Facebook gaming since it started in Indonesia in 2018. She streams to a loyal community of 2.7 million followers, making her one of the most watched creators in all of Indonesia, and one of the most popular streamers in Southeast Asia. She likes to stream action games primarily, and PUBG specifically, while engaging with and building her community during her live stream. That's super duper cool. Um, that's really. I mean, it's really cool to see so much diversity in this games advocacy space that we're all taking part in, man. Like I gotta say, that's just awesome. Cherry Thompson down here is super dope. She works for Ubisoft or Ubisoft, depending on who you are and how you pronounce it, and I will read her bio next. Cherry is a game designer shaping the future of the industry through ongoing work to make games accessible. God, I swear I can read. And carve inclusive spaces for disability, mental health, and LGBTQIA plus developers. They call Canada their home, where their role as accessibility project manager at Ubisoft places them among, um, oh my gosh, several development teams around the world. Their emphasis on game design, forward approaches to accessibility, establishes the practice as a core pillar and breaks down the stigma that it should be special or different or or a siloed experience. We'll talk about what a siloed experience kind of looks like in a second. Cherry's work on Watch Dogs Legion, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Hyperdot um, led to recognition for these titles at the Game Awards this year. A career highlight of 10 years across the industry. They remain an influential voice as a GamerX board member. Um, Take this ambassador and sensitivity specialist. They are passionate about membership and support for new and developing accessibility experts and game designers. The future, they believe, is a brilliantly creative um, and supportive to all, and of course, accessible. Other credits include Far Cry 6, Destiny Dos, Marvel's Avengers, Horizon Forbidden West, Dreams, and Card Apocalypse. They had a hand in influencing Gears 5, Forza, Xbox Adaptive Controller, and Logitech G's accessory kit. Some additional achievements include Um, first as a speaker at GDC 2019's in narrative, and third in all summits. Um, and they were featured in Women in Gaming, 100% professionals of play, a book celebrating 100 women and non-binary leaders in the past 40 years. That is super duper dope. I didn't even know this one. Learn more every day. Cherry also contributed to the motion capture for Marvel Avengers, wheelchair using character Charisse, and NPCs and crowds, and they were the winner of the Canadian Game Awards 2020 personality category. So the cool thing, one of the cool things that happened in real life on the Twitterverse was that there were several users that were having issues playing Hades because of dexterity problems or pain during gameplay. And Jerry went about like re-scheming the entire Hades thing so that these other people that were having similar issues to ones they experienced could actually enjoy Hades without making your hands make you want to smack yourself and put down the controls so you could just keep on gaming. So game on, game on. All right. It's so hard flipping back and forth between tabs. I'm bad at live media. Uh, Britt Clifford. So let's look at this picture. Britt Clifford is a senior producer at Obsidian Entertainment who constantly strives uh, to push the boundaries of how teams make games, known for getting things done, and her infectious, upbeat personality. She infuses positive energy to those around her and fosters an environment where developers feel confident they can deliver the best possible experience for their players. With a diverse project management background ranging from AAA to large scale event planning, Britt brings a unique perspective for all of her projects, which includes Marvel's Avengers, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and most recently, Avowed, which I still need to check this out. Sorry, I broke your beautiful web layout, but I can't see. Okay. Christine Gutierrez. Christine grew up in Chicago, Illinois, in a Mexican and Puerto Rican family. Video games have been a part of her life since she was young, even to the point of entering competitions at local gaming stores. I did this too. So good. To this day, she continues to grow her collection of retro games, something I super duper 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 love. Retro games are my thing because I'm like old, so everything that I grew up with is now considered retro. Uh, Christine joined Minecraft in 2017 as a vendor and converting into a full-time position at Microsoft and promoted to lead graphic designer and managing a team of graphic designers, 3D generalists, and video editors and web designers. Um, she is dedicated to improving representation in the game industry, or yeah, in the gaming industry. I can She's part of Better Together, a diversity and inclusion initiative within Minecraft, and Crafters of Color, the ERG at Mojang, and a Black Indigenous People of Color employees and their allies, and a Project Spirit ambassador, helping internal mental and emotional strategy, sharing centrally created content with her team. It's her hope that the gaming industry will see diversity and expand outside of business roles and include more content creators, ensuring uh, games represent a wider range of background and experiences. Um, that's super duper duper super awesome. Um, it's funny, right? Um, The more you get streamers and other content creators involved in like showcasing your games, like it's been my stance that rather than like trying to DMCA people for that, like, dude, support the people that are promoting your stuff and who you are and your work because um, if we like it, we're gonna keep talking about it, which means like more people will buy the stuff you make. That's just how I feel about that. Christina Amaya was born in Colombia and raised by adoptive Colombian and Cuban parents in Florida. She joined gaming back in 2014 when she joined Well Played Esports. She has worked at so many amazing companies such as Twitch, Unity, and now Team Liquid. Team Liquid is dope. I'm just saying, all the way across the board. She's now on the board of directors for the IGDA, the International Game Developers Association, and runs her own nonprofit for the Latinx community called Latinx in Gaming. Um, Christina wants gaming to be a beautiful banner of multicultural diversity, and she believes that there is a future for everyone um, in which everyone has a seat at the table. Okay, Dean Abdo is a host and video producer and writer working at Gaming Bible over in the UK. He's been a part of the gaming industry for 7 years, creating all kinds of content like videos on YouTube and written features on sites like Eurogamer. It is a career path he didn't quite expect, but what he loves. He adores the industry and the people in it. Since joining the industry, Dean wanted to try and be a representative voice. Um, he noticed that he didn't always see people who look like him represented in content. Over at Gamer Network, he was always determined to get yeah, diverse people to be in front, to be front and center on content across their websites. Before then, he tried to bring a little of this culture into the content he creates. It's his goal to try to be a representative voice in the industry and inspire more folks like himself to join. You see, this is what needs to happen. Yeah, that's exactly what needs to happen, dude. Um, um, it's his hope that he can also continue to help highlight other incredible voices in our industry. Yo, yo, yo. And then we have one Mr. Derek Fields. Derek Fields is an artist, streamer, and game designer based in Chicago, where they advocate for um, the visibility of Black, Indigenous, people of color, individuals who, because I don't know how to pronounce that acronym, but I know what it means. Provision of resources for young creators who are considering a path in the medium. He is the creator of Walking Oni Games, a small studio um, at the tail end of its first title, Onsen Master. Oh man, that sounds very, very cool. I'm gonna check that out. As well as a board member on the Japanese Arts Foundation, where they focus on the support of Japanese arts through inclusive and equitable space for Chicago's diverse community. Derek has spoken in academia conferences and panels vocalizing the future for games, where more studios create content that better reflects the vastly diverse audience of its players. Um, in addition, he looks forward to more Black, Indigenous people of color led and LGBTQIA plus um, led spaces that allow young burgeoning creators to peek behind the curtains of their favorite game titles, like at the hands of individuals who look like them. See, me. He believes that video games are a valuable source for education, inspiration, and change, and aims to contribute to that future. Checking the chat, checking the chat. All right, let's keep going though. So we have Diana Lora is a Bronx NYC chica at heart. Yeah, currently residing in Malmo, Sweden. Before working in gaming, Diana was a performer who played a slew of interesting characters, learned how to fall out of buildings, and partook in the occasional swashbuckling. There are more than 12 years of experience in the gaming industry as a writer, host, producer, now as an account manager at Ubisoft Massive. Oh yeah, I forgot about that joining. Um, she produced her own video game TV show, started a podcast before it was cool. That's what's up. And instead of thinking of that as like an awkward phase, I just call it like a predictive career path, yo. And predictive career paths are some of the greatest ones to be a part of. And also worked at companies like Sony, Deep Silver, Astro Gaming, and now working with production teams as an account manager at Ubisoft. Diana has always been driven by a deep and profound passion for helping others. She makes it her mission to reach back and help others by bringing people with her and elevating other voices and fighting for impactful changes in gaming. That's what's up. This is going to be a longer stream than I thought, but it's all good. I'm having fun. Elaine Gomez was born and raised in Puerto Rico. She graduated. Um, she pursued a graduate degree at USC's Interactive Media and Games program, which is actually the same program I think Day 9 graduated from. So that's pretty freaking cool. I wonder if they know each other. Where she began to cultivate her network in the games industry and learn the game design craft after spending time teaching game design at various education levels. In New York, she returned, and New Jersey, Elaine returned to the West Coast in pursuit of a full-time game design position at indie game studio Eli Media. Um, within the same time, she joined grassroots efforts of leaders behind the Latinx in gaming um, to build safe and inclusive spaces, uh, build a safe and inclusive community for Latinx creators and creatives in the industry. She was a part of the revival of the organization as an IGDA SIG and its growth into the 501c3 nonprofit organization that it is today. Thank you so very freaking much for that. It's awesome. Most of the information I've gotten over the past few months have been precisely a result of those efforts. So yeah, I can't thank you enough for that. um, Together with the passion and drive of the LXIG leadership team, Elaine hopes to continue creating opportunities for growth and representation in games by mentoring and supporting aspiring designers and developers from marginalized communities around the world. Here we have one Mr. Fernando Reyes Medina. Fernando Reyes Medina is a game designer at 343 Industries, currently designing and creating the new multiplayer suite of experiences for the upcoming Halo Infinite. I'm waiting to see what happens with this. This should be interesting. Like for real, for real. In his previous role, Fernando was a software engineer on the Xbox platform team, developing different features for the console. Um, Born and raised in Mexico City, he is the founder and um, serves as the Latin America director for Latinx in Gaming, 501c3. Man, there's so many cool people involved with that organization. That's what's up. Improving Latinx representation and success in the industry. Um, Fernando um, has previously been recognized with the Breakthrough USA Award in 2020 by BAFTA and as a next gen leader in 2018 by the IGDA. Fernando sees a future in gaming where creators all over the world are enabled and empowered to develop unique games, telling their own stories with their own voices, and allowing the true potential of gaming as an art medium and as a storytelling tool. Francisco Lopez, yo, alright. Known as, I don't know if I'm supposed to say Ambo or Hambo, yo. Either way, is one of the most influential people in the gaming industry in Puerto Rico, where he was born and raised. For more than 10 years, he has dedicated himself to promoting this industry through different projects um, of local and international impact. He's created the first esport league on the island called the Puerto Rico Association of Gamers. That is super cool. Like, I hope Puerto Rico takes it to like the international stage and kills it. Y'all deserve it. Um, he has developed major competitive and casual video game events such as Gaming Explosion Fest, the Battle of Arcadia, which was very cool from what I heard from people I know that went. Um, let's see, he has created platforms to develop local talent in the creation of video games such as Idol and more recently the Puerto Rico Games Showcase, a global event for global exhibition. Global exhibition, I can reach. Event for local video game development. Hemo is the founder of Yo Soy Un Gamer, a Spanish speaking multimedia news and entertainment platform that reaches Latinos in the United States, Puerto Rico, and Latin America. Um, he has joined forces with the American Society Against Cancer of Puerto Rico to celebrate gamers versus cancer. Um, Also, as part of his commitment to developing the video games industry in Puerto Rico, he developed the Next Gen Puerto Rico initiative to find other positions and candidates for um, governorship of Puerto Rico. Humbo's hope is that video game creation becomes a powerful industry in Puerto Rico, bringing new job opportunities for talented professionals and new economic opportunity for the island. Also, the inclusion of esports in the public school system as a new option for youth to compete and learn what it takes to compete. Oh, I have so much to say about that. This would mean that his 8-year-old daughter and every kid in Puerto Rico will have the opportunity to be a part of one of the most exciting industries in the world. When this happens, he will be the most proud Boricua in the world. So, yeah, do you guys remember how at the beginning of the stream I was talking about how video games allow you to like learn how to fail and problem solve, right? So that's true regardless of the kind of game you play, generally speaking. Even in narrative games, there are some puzzling aspects, but like competitive games are, I mean, Granted, there's toxicity in some pretty well-known competitive games like League, right, or Dota, or stuff like that. But even then, I still would argue that competitive gaming is super duper important because competition teaches you something about yourself that you really can't learn any other way. And I don't know, to me, purposefully entering competitions of any kind, video games are a great way of getting into competing because you can compete without ever being on a team. Like, games like Call of Duty and like Deathmatch in like Doom or whatever, and TDM and PUBG or like all these other games, they teach you things that you can only learn in competition. Like, first of all, are you a strategic person? Are you super aggressive? Are you patient, tactical, or timid? Right? And you don't really learn those things unless you competed. Or maybe you run into a personality trait later on down the road that rears its head because you haven't competed for a long time and learned those things about yourself. That kind of throws you off guard, and then you figure out that you're kind of a hothead, like me, right? Like, I'm kind of a hothead. If I'm being real, I'm naturally kind of hothead. And my early experience, like entering local video game tournaments, actually helped me figure that out. Like, I entered martial arts tournaments too, but that doesn't count because, in my specific case, I was the only person in the tournament's disabled participants division. So by default, I always got first place, and that's not really competing because, like, I can't really compete with myself if the bar that I set is first place because I'm the only participant. Now, decades later, that's different, and I'm sure if I went to compete, there would be other people to compete against. And, if I took up another martial art, I would probably choose to do tournaments. But competition is super important for learning those things about yourself, so that when you encounter them in other facets of life, um, you learn how these things feel internally to you, how it affects your thinking, and how you can cope with that to generate more success for yourself or learning opportunities, however you choose to see it. So there's that. I really, really loved this bio, by the way, and I'm gonna try to find you on the Twitters. I'm gonna mess up names all over this. Okay. I wanna say I wanna say that's Haley Gross, but I don't know. Based in Los Angeles, established her career as a screenwriter on projects like Westworld, Snowpiercer, um, Too Old to Die Young. Ooh, whoa, those are really great films and TV shows. What is this? This is very whoa. Because, like, dude, like, my background's like film and TV, so anytime I see like credits, then I'm just like, wow, that's very cool. Um, Before joining Mighty Dog as co-writer and narrative lead on of course, on The Last of Us 2, that game has an incredible freaking story, dude. I'm tripping. She's thrilled to be a part of the growing convergence of TV and games. Uh, Thanks to their inherent mechanics, games are a perfect vehicle for stories about resilience and empathy. These are the stories we need: diverse narratives featuring complex characters. We can and should do our best to inspire compassion, curiosity, and a little moxie or grit if you prefer that too. Hopefully, we can encourage players to be brave, take risks, and embrace who they are. So, oh, dude, okay, hold on. Yeah, I gotta say things. Um, yeah, that's man, that took me back real quick. I wasn't expecting it, but the weird thing about games that separate it from other forms of media that you consume is the interactivity. And the interactivity specifically gives the player a different kind of opportunity and a different kind of way of being involved in narrative. Even like, dude, if you guys have ever like, I know, like, okay, I got back into chess recently, and I know a lot of you don't want to hear about chess, but like, if you watch two people playing a chess game, whether at a really like like casual level or even at the grandmaster level, dude, people get emotional. There is no narrative. There is no narrative present in chess other than what's going on in the minds of the two competitors. But just the sheer interaction between two people creates an opportunity for emotional exploration if you choose to look at it that way. And video games specifically provide us with an opportunity for interactivity plus narration, which generates all sorts of complex thoughts and emotions in people that otherwise we'd only find in real life in circumstances that we might otherwise um, find actually threatening or dangerous in some way. And games allow us to explore those parts of ourselves without necessarily needing to risk our safety, which is one of the reasons they're so important. And they also allow us to explore the stories of people that we would otherwise not be able to relate to. I remember that one of a handful of times that I was really engrossed in a story that is nothing like my own is the story of the coming out story of the character of Gone Home. You play the whole game from the first person. You're exploring the house, and you're trying to figure out what happened. And I mean, it was honestly one of the most breathtaking experiences I've ever had, and it taught me a lot. Like I grew up in a pretty traditional um, Catholic conservative house where there were all kinds of moral judgments on um, basis of sexual orientation and other things that I didn't agree with, but I didn't necessarily like have a very personal understanding. And Gone Home was one of those experiences that allowed me to have an experience that fleshed out a certain part of my own thinking that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to engage. And for that, I will always, always appreciate it. Like I plan on playing it again soon. So if y'all want to watch me do that on stream, yeah, we'll do it on stream if you guys want. Hannah Nicklin, let's do this. Is a Brit living in Denmark and CEO and studio lead. I can't. Digert, Barik. I tried. Who most recently released the multiple award-winning Mutazione. Hannah was narrative designer and writer. Um, she has a practice spanning a variety of interactive arts over the past decade, so as writer, designer, and academic. Hannah's work is driven by an interest in the role of storytelling in enabling players and audiences and participants to reflect on their lives lived in the inextricable context of one another. She also works hard to make games slash playful experiences that can be accessed by everyone proactively through design, collaboration, and advocacy. The TGAs ask me what are my hopes for the future of gaming. I care about games as media, as a means to tell stories about and with our lives, as a material condition in which some people work. In this context, I hope well, most of all that the future of games, the stories they tell, and the experiences they enable belongs to all of us and makes more room for all of us in our need in conditions which are fair, equitable. That's how I try to work for that future. Um, yeah, uh, I wish the inevitable crunch in games development was not so prevalent because I don't know if y'all understand. Um, but dude, gaming is games development is a pretty um, arduous and fraught career path because a lot of times to bring us these experiences that we so very often enjoy, um, game development teams often risk uh, their relationships, their sanity, and their health in a lot of cases to make sure that we have good products to enjoy. And to all of you that do that on a daily basis, I just want to say thank you. Yeah, this is turning out to be a long ass stream. All right, well, we're gonna go through the whole list. So, El Senor Ian Hamilton. I want to give a special shout out to Ian because he was literally the first person a few years back to introduce me to this community when I first started doing Gimpy Bytes in its nascent form. When I didn't even know what I wanted, and like I went completely overkill. I spent hours editing every video, and like I was trying to find topics weekly. Ian was like the first person to reach out and be like, "Yo, keep doing what you're doing. Here are some things I think you might find interesting," and for that, I am super duper grateful. So let's read this man's bio. My bad, I had to do that. Ian is a games accessibility specialist with a 14-year background in raising the bar of inclusion for gamers with disabilities through advocacy and awareness in writing, speaking, organizing events, and community building and consulting, working with studios from solo indies to the largest AAAs, with publishers, platforms, industry, and government bodies. He is the co-director of GAConf and coordinator of Game Accessibility Guidelines.com. That's a yeah. Y'all need to remember this one. This is a cool resource. It was one of the first things I ever looked at. The industry is at a turning point in every sense of the word. After so many years of tireless advocacy from so many people, developers across every segment of the industry are beginning to recognize um, the diverse spectrum that humans exist across, and the need to accommodate that in order for their visions to reach players intact. While it may feel like tremendous strides are being made in accessibility, and to a certain extent, that is true. Progress is exponential. We are still at a low point on the curve. Um, there is a way to go before even the basics are completely covered, let alone any gamer being able to pick up a game and have a reasonable expectation that they'll be able to play. Gaming has phenomenal potential, and so for the future is for that to continue to be realized. Oh, dude, that reminds me. I was supposed to talk about what a siloed experience might look like. So, um, a siloed experience might look like a stripped down version of the game that is made so bare or in isolation to the rest of the game um, that it almost feels either separate or like an add-on product, just for the need to like appease a certain end goal, right? So it doesn't feel very integrated. It feels very isolated, and it's not a comparable experience to what most people might consider the full game. So it's important to remember that siloed experiences, while they can be cool, I mean, especially if you're talking about a vertical slice of a game and you're like playtesting it, um, ultimately, like that approach to fleshing out a full game is not the future for the industry that I want to see at all. Um, yeah. Um, so just to put that out there, that's my personal thing. Jasmine Jupiter. Oh my god, that is such a cool. That's a cool name. I dig it. uh, Jasmine Jupiter is a Southern California-based designer who is currently pursuing a MFA in interactive media and games design at USC, the University of Southern California. Um, Her work has been showcased at the Asian American International Film Festival, to which I've been. It's a dope experience. Indiecade, also been there, dope experience. USC Games Expo, not lucky enough to have attended. So if anybody ever wants to bring me to one of those, I'll be your best friend. She has served as narrative designer for two projects: a mobile strategy game called Star Wanderer and a visual novel called Koshka's. I don't know how to say that word. Coffee. Coffee. I'm just I'm being hurt. Um, that was featured in multiple festivals this year. Most recently, um, she served as co-designer for an inclusive audio drama called Operator, which will be released on itch.io soon. I'm going to. You know what? Give me a second. I need to make. I need to make some notes. Let me just. Let me just do that. You know what? This is why things are for. My memory is so bad, so whatever I can remember things that. All right. Oops. Itch.io soon. Here we go. Our hopes for the future of gaming are that for the industry to grow a more inclusive and diverse community of creators, and for better working conditions for all game developers. Oh my god, you already know. Unregulated crunch, unpaid overtime work, and rampant layoffs must come to an end. It is her fervent belief that a game workers union is the best safeguard for worker protection. I tend to agree, not to get political. Um, I worked on a couple of minor mobile games that nobody's ever heard of anymore, and the crunch is real. And yeah, also too, like at least in the short period that I functioned in my limited capacity in the industry, the way that it was, talk to people currently working, but essentially the way that I try to explain it to people who don't understand how the games industry was working, at least at the time, is imagine that you are hired as a temp for a medium-ish term project, and like at the end of that term, like you're almost guaranteed to have to find another job. um, that was the reality that I functioned in, and it was a huge deterrent for me because like as someone with a disability, like I couldn't really afford to keep like having to find new employment with benefits because like dude, wheelchairs cost a lot of money. Like my manual wheelchair, dude, is nothing like I consider special. It's fairly standard, right? But this thing is like $12,000. And every time I have to get repairs, like I have to get a prescription, then I have to go take it to the wheelchair place, and they gotta fix it. And if I don't have insurance, that doesn't happen. So like if my employment isn't stable, or like this is why so many of us are on SSI so that we qualify for like Medicare and Medicaid, right? Because that guarantees that things like this to some extent will um, not be a financial burden. But then there's huge trade-offs, right? Because so many of us don't have the opportunity to pursue the livelihoods that we otherwise would. Um, so any improvement to those ends in any sector, but most especially in industries like gaming, dude, please, 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 this has to get better. Jen O'Neill. And I will not be able to pronounce this name to save my life except Shrub. So that's how I'm going to say it. Jen O'Neill is the head of studio at Vicarious Visions. I actually really like this studio. Her career in video gaming started at Activision in the late 90s, moving to Los Angeles, California from Orlando. She trained a cross country move. Wow. She spent some time at LucasArts, but ultimately returned to Activision and served in numerous production management roles across the company, where she worked on major franchises such as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Guitar Hero, and Skylanders. In the last 4 years at Vicarious Visions, um, she spearheaded the development of Crash Bandicoot's Insane Trilogy, which still has that resolution issue, which is why I haven't played it because I don't have a monitor that supports the resolution that the game launches at. If anybody figured that out, let me know. But I really love those games. Destiny 2 Warmind and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Those are great games. Um, Jen's hope for the future of gaming is that it becomes more ubiquitous. It becomes so ubiquitous and inclusive that the concept of a gaming community will be forever changed. We will live in a new world where games are helping people with a number of things in their lives, including isolation. We would love to see how we can incorporate even more benefits into the games we love. Um, for example, can we get to the point where NPCs have meaningful conversations with you or somehow help you manage life events? Ooh, you know, I've talked about this before, but um, let me also share a secondhand personal story uh, after this. Meaningful conversations with you or help you manage life events. In the future, games will be accessible and resonant with all people, and everyone is a gamer. I firmly believe that to some extent everyone is a gamer, but that's a topic for another stream. Okay, so ever since I think the mid 70s, the military has been developing and experimenting with um, immersive multimedia experiences to help soldiers reprocess events that trigger PTSD. And that research is continuing to develop both in the civilian and military sectors. And I think that that type of research needs to continue. And what she's talking about here would be even more amazing. Like if those types of experiences were available to people that needed them or just wanted them um, for various uh, for various things. I mean, like I can't tell you how many times like a video game has helped pull me out of a depressive spiral, or um, even at the time, like let me. I'm a huge fan of Knights of the Old Republic, right? And every time I play both BioWare's game and Obsidian's game, like somehow it lifts me out of that funk and reminds me, dude, why I'm alive. Why, despite all the random setbacks and all the weird things that my mind can tell me, seemingly for no reason, um, why, at the end of the day, what matters is that I continue and I persevere and I continue to try to do things that are meaningful to me and to try to help other people find things that are meaningful to them in their own lives so that they can pursue even more avenues that can lead to some kind of personal fulfillment. Like, that's my whole thing as a person. Um, Personal secondhand story. So, I have a friend, for the sake of privacy, we're going to call him Bob. Um, like, Bob um, plays or played, because currently COVID, played at a local chess club and found out that I was interested in chess, right? And he's about a 1400 rated player, and I was utter trash because I hadn't played since I was 15, and at the time I was like 30. So more than a decade, I was bad. And um, Bob and I would meet up at local coffee shops, wherever was most convenient that week, and we would play chess. And he would teach me things about tactics and strategy. We would play games and we would just have fun and talk. And one day when we were playing and talking, um, he said he would play chess before, and it was always fun. It was always a game that he loved. But he said that there was a life event that happened to him. And if any of you happen to figure out who I'm talking about because you know me, um, Bob had a stroke, and he told me that when he had a stroke, he lost the ability to speak. He had to learn to speak again, and sometimes like words still got confusing. Um, but he liked hanging out with me because I always understood um, what he was trying to say, even when he couldn't remember the right word. And I explained to him that it's because my grandmother had two strokes, and we went through that with her, and like I somehow just got good at it. Um, but he said the most annoying thing about having a stroke was the fact that he couldn't think anymore. Like he couldn't hold ideas in his head until he could get them out. It was difficult, and he said that playing chess um, taught him to be able to think and to reason and to give him enough of a, I'm gonna call it a RAM buffer in his head to like hold information until he could spew it out, and he would feel better. 'Cause not being able to think clearly, if you're the kind of person that is used to being relatively clear-headed, um, that is not a cool experience. And so games really can and do help people in extremely freaking tangible ways. If you ever forget that, as a developer, as a gamer, or as just somebody watching the stream, please remember that games are amusement, but they also can do more than just amusement. They really can and do change people's lives and help them recover from otherwise um, seemingly unrecoverable events. So I thought it was really important to share that story. Man, my Apple Watch is having a moment right now. Alright, let me silence this dude. Squeeze it out. Alright. Onward and upward, my friends. Onward and upward. Alright? I'm just gonna say Jennifer Schroll because I'm sorry. Is a multi-award-winning game designer, most known for the Earthlight franchise, which received Game of the Year award at the Australian Game Developer Awards in 2017 in collaboration with NASA's Hybrid Reality Lab. Um, Parts of her work were used to develop training for astronauts in VR. Jennifer's work on the physical controller set for Flat Earth Games, Objects in Space, was nominated for the All Control GDC Award in 2017. In 2017 and 2018, she made the MVC Pacific's 30 under 30 list uh, for her passion and public appearances on game design UX. For those of you that don't speak design language, that means user experience, diversity in games, and educating audiences on the game's development process. Her work on hidden game design has been published in major outlets such as Polygon, Rolling Stone, and in Variety. In 2018, Jennifer signed a book deal with CRC Press to write a book on hidden game design techniques. I'm actually going to read this book. Thank you for letting me know, List, because that's super duper interesting to me. Uh, she is the chairperson of the IUGDA Women in Games. So currently, Jennifer is continuing her passionate work on space games as a lead game designer at Blackbird Interactive in Vancouver on Hard Space Shipbreaker. Hard Space Shipbreaker. I sound like Sean Connery. All right, dudes. Um, Yeah, Jenny Shu. Jenny is a long distance runner, artist, programmer, gamer, and farmer. I almost read that as farmer and was wondering why that word was isolated. Forbes 30 Under 30 Games recipient and CEO of Talofa Games from Cupertino, California. She is passionate about the intersection of fitness and gaming. Oh God, I love that. That's cool. And is currently developing a social running game at Talofa Games and was grand prize winner of the Niantic Beyond Reality contest in 2019. She also develops horror comedy mobile games for her indie games company, JC Soft Inc. I played some of your games. Oh, all right. um, which she started making games for when she was 12. You know, wonder why. All right, dude, you are a badass. She runs Abs with Jenny, a gamified virtual fitness class that can be taught over 430 people and raised over that has raised um, that has taught over 430 people raised over $10,000 for charity. After graduating from MIT with a computer science degree, oh Jesus, wow. Um, she's worked at the intersection of AR and fitness to explore how gaming motivates healthy habits. Actually, yeah, Dom. All right, this is another thing for me. Um, in her 12 years in the games industry, she has created over 130 plus games for web and mobile and shipped 10 titles on the mobile app store with 9.2 million downloads over 10 titles. That is amazing. Um, she's also completed internships at Google Electronic Arts, Sony PlayStation, and Network. So, fitness and gaming, right? That is a weird one because often the stigma is that gamers are like not the fittest people, right? And so recently, like, I got an Apple Watch, um, and like because I have all this data, like that this watch tracks, like it tells me how much calories I burn, like in what space of time. Um, I use iOS devices to track food intake. It actually turned me into a relatively sedentary person to someone that, if websites are to be believed, I'm now considered moderately active. Actually, it just says I'm active. um, but so when I see projects like this, it's super cool because like one of the things that happens with gamer brains, right, is we become really used to video games dissecting goals into smaller parts that we then go after. So if you think of a game type like an MMO, right, um, there might be a fetch quest, there might be a boss you need to kill, but first you need an item, and then you go after the boss, and then after you get the boss, you find out that that's a sub boss, and you get another boss, and then you get the thing, and then you go back to the quest giver, and then you win. With fitness, it's a complicated equation because our bodies are all different, and it's hard to know if you're making progress, especially like because fitness progress is so slow, right? Like it's not always visible, it's not always palpable. You can't always feel it. So when I hear about people trying to gamify fitness in a way that's actually like fun and compelling, I'm all for that. And if this person, if Jenny happens to be watching my tiny, tiny, tiny stream, if you can make your products, like your projects, um, usable by people who use wheelchairs, dude, like, yo, I will use it. I'm gonna say this is Jeremy Kaldovsky. I'm gonna give that a shot. Is from Michigan, USA, although he's fully sighted for the past 10 years. He's been building computer games for the blind slash visually impaired community. He believes that every group should enjoy games no matter what background or disability they may have. He also believes that no group should feel that they are being patronized in the process. Many, if not all, of the games available for blind players are so packed full of assistive tools that players would have to put in effort to lose. Jeremy has done his best to create challenging games that do not hesitate to punish players until they've earned the win. This is a very important thing. Um, to feel any real sense of accomplishment, you need to win only after failing over and over. These players do not need their hands held while they game. So, yeah. So I was talking to a dude named Vivek Gohil, and he was telling me about the reasons he uses the invulnerability feature in games like Control. And he said that for him, when there's that much stuff going on in this on the screen, basically, because it's a third-person action game, there's a lot. Um, his brain gets like cognitively scrambled, and it's difficult for him to respond to the situation that he's in. Um, Having invulnerability modes or like scaled damage allows you to adjust the game's challenge to your specific needs so that you feel like you've earned the win. Or if you just want to experience the story of the game, you should be able to fork over your money and just experience the story. I mean, you know, it should be like a consumer's prerogative to do that. And I don't understand why some people in certain sub communities tend to feel so strongly the opposite. If you want to talk about that, dude, I'd love to have you on stream and like explain your point of view to me because um, coming from a place where I have entered local video game competitions and I have played extremely difficult games and won, and over time have lost the ability to perform as well in them. Like I'm having a harder time coming to grips with the point of view of say something like this the Souls community. Like I really have a hard time with it. I played Dark Souls 3. So it's not like I'm without knowing where you're coming from or like I can't understand that the somewhat broken mechanics are intentional to like sort of emulate that old school hard feel. Like I get it. I do. And I appreciate it, but I don't think that's the only way to make a game that is both fun and challenging. Okay, here we have Jessica Murray. Jess is a small town girl from Medford, Oregon, who tripped and fell head first into gaming. That's a nice turn of phrase. I like that. At 24, she was an award winning storyteller, um, running awareness campaigns against child, domestic, and sexual abuse. Next, she worked for Search for Common Ground, the world's largest dedicated peace building organization, utilizing the Nobel Peace Prize nominated NGO's experience. Um, Jess trained young leaders in some of the most hostile places on earth in social change communication, shifting attitudes and behavior through strategic messaging and storytelling. Her dream um, was to activate a generation in common ground activism, how to attack the problem instead of each other. A major hurdle to activating youth in the real world was a lack of self efficacy. The belief um, in your own ability to accomplish a goal. Gameplay provided the answer, um, where players gain confidence in practicing what to do in conflict situations and experience consequences of their choices. Um, it's experience that changes us. Her first gaming convention showcased the power of um, text-based to AAA games to provoke meaningful emotions. She jumped in with both feet. Now just creates interactive story games that are wickedly fun and actively good. I like that, actively good, all right, as opposed to passively good. Um, she believes that games can embolden a generation to pick up the broken pieces of this world and build a better one. I completely agree, and yeah, I'm stupidly on board with that, like all the way 1,000%, even though the math is bad and you can't have 1,000%. Um, the fun thing about reading this list is I realize I have a tendency to hit all the points of like the things that are coming. So this has been pretty fun for me. Jorge Garcia is a Mexican developer with more than 12 years of experience. In 2016, he decided to follow his passion and focus all of his resources on Mecha Studio or Mecha. En español o en inglés, Mecha, no sé. Okay. Um, where he assumed the role of director, coder, game designer, writer, and audio designer. For Jorge, video games are freedom. They represent the chance to express ourselves through the art that we love and admire and connect with people similar to us. Besides games, he is interested in sharing the little he has learned and promoting good practices in the game dev community in Mexico. Um, through participation as a speaker in several tech and dev events and free workshops and courses to encourage um, the talented younger generations. In 2017, he created GameDev.mx, a platform and community that offers an alternative to the persistent communication channel of this new discipline in Mexico. Khalif Adams. Khalif Adams is the host and founder of the award-winning video game uh, podcast Spawn on Me with Khalif Adams, and is originally from the Bronx, New York. He is a 10-plus year gaming industry vet who got into the space as a blogger in the early 2000s. Spawn on Me is the premier podcast spotlighting and showcasing stories of people of color in the gaming industry. During its 7-year run, it has been profiled by the New York Times, Good Morning America, and Fast Company. Good for you, man. Like, for real, for real. That is, like, super amazing. Khalif wants the future of games not only to be more diverse in terms of the characters we see in the stories told, but also wants all aspects of the industry to make sure to make space for underrepresented voices that make our community so fantastic. He is hoping for a fuller embrace of culture and games, um, uh, such as not just the medium, but also the ways you get your gaming news and opinions. Having broader media lens with which to critique, study, and commiserate will make the games we play in the next decade all the more richer and more wonderful. Um, he wants to be one of the folks at the forefront of that movement. I dig it. And we have Caitlin Tremblay. Caitlin Tremblay is lead narrative designer at Capybara Games in Toronto. She's also co-director of the nonprofit DMG, an organization dedicated to making a space for queer and gender marginalized people to create games freely. When Caitlin thinks of the future of games, she doesn't immediately think of questions such as what are the technical hurdles to overcome? How are we to innovate in game design, or how these are all important to her, but she also views them as always evolving. So to Caitlin, the future of games is about the people who make games, who push the boundaries, um, and how she can help empower them to do so. Uh, she cares about games and also the people making games, focusing on supporting those around her and developing healthy productions and prioritizing opportunities and safety for marginalized developers means everything to her. Caitlin wants to make good games with good people. She wants developers to be happy, healthy, and empowered so that they can make games that continue to push the industry forward. So to Caitlin, uh, this is the future of games. Like that's super, super, super important. I mean, like the thing is, dude, um, I'm reminded of something that William H. Macy said about a film that he co-wrote, directed, and starred in about a door-to-door salesman with cerebral palsy. Um, he said, paraphrasing, but he said that even though he had worked for years with organizations like UCP, United Cerebral Palsy, for whatever reason, it had never occurred to him to hire an actor with CP to do the role. And it's not like he actively didn't want that. He said that it literally didn't occur to him. And he said that that's when he realized he screwed up and that needed to change. Like, people need to consider um, like who they hire because in general, like I know I'm talking about a movie, but in general, when you hire a more diverse group of people, just like genetic diversity, right? Like you ultimately make everyone stronger, and um, you make more people feel as though they are part of a community, whereas before they might think that they don't belong to one. So I think that that is my takeaway from that bio, and I hope y'all take away something similar or equally cool. Um, yeah, I'm gonna mess up so many names, dude. Callie Plagge is GameSpot's reviews editor. Originally from Los Angeles, Callie has written everything from news to guides to long form game reviews, but her greatest joy is in editing other people's work and helping them find their voice. What I would consider developmental editing, that's super cool. Gaming has come a long way since she first started blogging for fun, um, but from representation to labor issues to harassment and toxicity, the industry still has room to grow. Her hope is that by doing her best and lifting up others along the way, she can do her part in making gaming a better space for everyone. I dig it. Kate Dollarhide. That is a super freaking another super freaking cool name. Is a Nebula award-winning narrative designer at Obsidian Entertainment, where she has written for The Outer Worlds and Coders of Eternity. I haven't played Outer Worlds, but like Coders of Eternity is a dope game. And she's most known for her work on the character of Pavarotti Holcomb, a nervous engineer, who finds strength and confidence in the love of a fellow female engineer. Okay, yeah, there we go. Kate came to game development late, but has been a player since the first time her dad sat her on his lap, or knee, and showed her Duke Nukem. Oh, that's cool. Um, she hopes designers from marginalized communities continue to change the industry by making games that speak honestly to their experiences, desires, beliefs, and that um, the industry sincerely welcomes them. Further, she hopes that developers continue to collaborate um, to end exploitative labor practices, like we talked about earlier in the stream, like crunch, racial and gender pay disparities. This is the thing. Um, um, by building a community of mutual support and solidarity. So I want to address the whole issue like from a broad perspective of the gender pay gap, because there is a counter argument out there that says that the statistics being reported are skewed because they don't take into account um, wage gaps that naturally occur at different skill levels. We are literally not talking about that here. What we are talking about is two people who do the same job and are paid very, very differently based on factors not in their control. Right? We're not talking about like what a school bus driver makes versus a limousine driver for a well-known limo rental company. We're not talking about those kinds of things at all. We're talking about people who literally do the same job in the same capacity and are paid differently. And that needed to end years ago. So yeah, it still exists, and I've seen it in the games industry. I've seen it in other media industries and like graphic design and all that sort of thing. Like you're literally paid differently working at the same company doing the same thing, but you're on a different project, so your pay scale is different. That's not, dude. That's not fair, and it's not cool. Unpaid overtime is also not the business. Like I know none of you would disagree with that, right? Kid believes that games are good, but they could be better, and it's up to us to make it so. Agreed. Leanne, let's go there. um, Leanne also started making games over 16 years ago in the UK, working for Stainless Games on titles, including Scrabble, Risk Factions. I actually really love that game. Magic the Gathering, Duels of Planeswalkers. Also, that's how I learned how to play Magic, so thank you for that. After working for a large publisher in Japan, oh, I lost my place. She returned to work in the UK and joined EA as a senior producer. It was here that Ian married her love for cars and games by hitting up multiple Need for Speed titles. Dude, those are some of my favorite games. All right, including leading transition to a community-run live service. In 2016, she joined Riot Games in Los Angeles as senior producer, leading a competitive team on League of Legends. Under Leanne's leadership in the competitive team developed um, League of Legends innovative class tournament framework that mirrors the experience of a live esports 5v5 style tournament bracket from home. That is super dope. I can't play League to save my life for reasons, but that is really cool. She currently heads up Riot Forge, Riot's third-party publishing division, um, that unites multiple developers to create a variety of League of Legends indie games. Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. Ruin King of League of Legends story made a partnership with Airship Syndicate. Will be Riot Forge's first indie title. Yeah, I'm gonna remember this. Ian is a passionate ambassador for women in games and on encouraging women to join the industry and creating diversity in teams through mentorship. Panels and events. In 2020, Leanne was elected to the BAFTA Games Committee to help create strategies and identify opportunities for improvements in content creation. Um, Leanne received her BSc from Portsmouth University and has continued her education with business studies at Cornell University and at Harvard Business. Holy shit. Um, oof, smarter than me. Playing and making games is one of Leanne's greatest passions. She loves working with teams to create gaming experiences that bring joy and connect people virtually, especially during a time when people cannot always be together in person. I was gonna say something, but I completely um, forgot what I was gonna say. So if it comes back, I will stop myself. Lucas Hagen. Alright, let's read this. Lucas Hagen is from Las Vegas, Nevada, the city that never sleeps, one of them anyway. I prefer that to Sin City. Um, and is a founding member of Lion Parties, the gaming podcast at the Las Vegas Review Journal, where they interview voice actors, game developers, and more. He also writes articles for the for the Review Journal's website to help share people's stories. Lucas is Lucas has a passion for helping others and providing a platform for people behind the games we love and share their journeys. Um, Gaming is a way to help to keep him connected to those closest to him and allows him the chance to experience adventures he could only dream of. Lucas hopes um, gaming continues to evolve as a storytelling platform and becomes more inclusive to a variety of people. Oh, there was a general point that I was going to make. So, some people that, you know, love to create games the old school way tend to have an issue with games tools that don't require programming or make programming optional. And like as someone who studied game dev like formally, dude, like I used to agree because I used to feel like if I put in the effort to learn how to do this thing, you should have to too. But then you know I met kids who were really interested in making games that were so young that it would be hard to teach them traditional ways of doing it. Like these kids are like 5 years old, and what am I gonna do? Tell them, oh yeah, just keep drawing, and one day you'll make games or like something like that. Um, that's not viable, dude. So like things like Game Maker or like Scratch programming and those kinds of things can help introduce like either people that wouldn't otherwise be interested in the development process, but like because of the let's face it, because of the tedium, right? To all of a sudden explore what it might be like, and maybe they run into a limitation of whatever they're using, and maybe they're like, hey, I should go learn Python and learn Pygame, or I should go learn C++ so I can work in a variety of different environments, or maybe I should learn like Unity because Unity can basically use anything. Like, dude, think of it as a gateway drug for further like games creativity. So over the years, dude, like I've become a huge proponent of people being able to make games however they want to make games. Whether you do it on pen and paper, or whether or not you use something like Game Maker or Unity, or you're super skilled in hackery and you can like code a game engine from scratch and you really want to do that, do it. However you do it, do it. If you're a writer, write. If you want to be an artist, draw, paint, do all the things that make life feel good to you, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just, sorry, dude. This was way longer than I originally intended it to be. Marcus Howard. Marcus Howard is from St. Petersburg, Florida, and CEO of the experimental marketing agency MetaRena, and the president of nonprofit dedicated to growing the games industry and the STEAM youth programs in the Tampa Bay region. Marky's got Super Mario Brothers 3 on the Nintendo Entertainment System for Christmas when he was around 6, and he's been playing video games ever since. Video games inspired Marcus's interest in technology. And in the ninth grade, he started coding his own video games on a TI-83 Plus. That's some stuff, dude. Super nerd, and I absolutely love that. Today, Marcus concerts, consults with businesses around the world, helping them increase their digital engagement with video games. In 2019, he co-authored The Business of Esports, and the book was published by the University of South Florida. Marcus has also been a featured speaker at several international conferences, including Level 2 and Beyond, the Future of Esports um, panel of Skillshot Media's 2019 Esports Summit at the Georgia World Congress Center. Um, Marcus is excited about indie games and how games inspire the next generation of innovators to pursue STEAM careers. All right, all right, we're almost there, guys. Maxie Grafe. I'm sorry if I butchered your name again. Uh, in her 12 years in the games industry, um, Maxie's worked as an editor and host for the Pro Gamer or Game Pro slash GameStar for 7 years. Oh yeah, wow. Um, and switched to Microsoft as the PR lead for Xbox in the German-speaking region. After 3 years, she accepted a new role as the marketing communications lead for Xbox BACH, where she now works on all their launches, media, social activity, and partnerships. Maxie's greatest passion is our community and the time she can spend on our Gaming for Everyone work. I love that initiative. Also, check out the Numinous Games and um, the initiative called the Playability Initiative, um, spearheaded by Numinous Games and others. Um, just to throw that out there. She learns so much every day. How to make events like Gamescom more accessible. How to create a more inclusive social experience, and especially how to give everyone a voice in our community. Um, Gaming is a huge part of our life um, as well as gaming family, and she wants everyone to feel welcome. Super cool. Michelle Bresson. All right, let's do this. As the vice president of product marketing at Activision, leads a business unit that oversees Crash Bandicoot, Sekiro, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and other beloved franchises. Um, she is responsible for all elements of the business's pipeline, um, development, and go-to for marketing strategy. Or wait, go-to-market strategy. I totally messed up. Completely different meanings. Go-to-market strategy. That's a cool job. She comes from a background in financial planning across various entertainment genres, including Virgin Entertainment, Guitar Center, Mattel. Um, but her love affair with gaming started in the 80s. Since joining Activision in 2007, Michelle has helped over a dozen titles go to market, working across the organization's entire slate of brands, spanning Call of Duty, um, Guitar Hero, and Skylanders. Gaming plays a different role for everyone, and that's what's great about it. Gaming has evolved so much over the years as a social phenomenon, but also as a form of escapism. Now more than ever, we're witnessing its evolution into an interactive learning platform. As a mother of three boys, she is given a daily education on how on Gen Z and current trends. I believe it. I super believe that. Um, Her hope for the future is that gaming will continue to evolve as a powerful medium for storytelling and communication, bringing people together and challenging society to think outside the box. And hopefully, helping some elements of society realize that there is a box that we need to think outside. Just to add. Michelle Ma is a gamer and technical artist hailing from Morgantown, West Virginia. She received a Bachelor of Computer Science and Fine Art from the University of Southern California's Interactive Media and Games MFA program. That is super cool. Oh, I skipped the line with Carnegie Mellon. And got it. Her bachelor's degree is from Carnegie Mellon, and her MFA is from USC. Gotcha. She enjoys bringing characters to life from design to implementation, and also likes to improve pipelines in terms of efficiency and accessibility. Hmm. She hopes that games production becomes a more accessible process in the future, so that the industry can see a more diverse content and representation. Morgan Baker is freaking awesome. Also, um, she's available on Twitter. You can find her pretty easily. You should. Um, Based in sunny California, Morgan Baker is an accessibility specialist who has a strong commitment to increasing accessibility and broadening the inclusivity of video games. Every day, Morgan advises publishers slash studios in making sure that every single person can play, no matter what their ability. She is best known for her expertise in um, deaf accessibility, for which she is personally and professionally informed. Recently, Morgan assisted the Naughty Dog team in the creation of 60 plus revolutionary accessibility features for The Last of Us 2. Her work can also be found on the game's accessibility nexus, Gama Sutra, um, IGDA GASIC, and the LITO, and more. For the future, Morgan hopes to create a fully accessible player experience where developers have the tools necessary to implement universal design so that everyone can game. Because although we have come so far, this is only just the beginning. Completely. Dude, so many of my favorite people are this. Natalie Flores. Here we go. Natalie Flores is currently a 23-year-old college student, writer, and soon to be PR intern. This is super cool. Um, she is a queer Latina American who has written for publications like Fanbyte, where she is the featured contributor, Paste Magazine, Vice PC Gamer, yep, and more. To deal with anxiety and being from a low income household, she found solace in video games from a young age. And as a child, she never saw herself in her favorite art form that struggles to love and support people who look like her and have experience like hers in today. She also continues to flourish in the industry. She happens to play a significant role in making video games more inclusive. She wants to create and elevate stories that will inspire little queer brown girls, like the one she once was, that will encourage them to be leaders and heroines, or heroes. Dude, why did my brain, like, on and off screen? Natalie wants to continue honoring the sacrifices of her mother, an immigrant from Nicaragua, um, who lived in an incredibly impoverished conditions, and her father, who comes from a single mother household, made. Um, she is here to realize her hopes for what video games can achieve. Um, they can and will be more. Games are for all of us. Dude, Randy Fitzgerald is super dope. Another one of my favorite people. Um, so about the representation in games thing, right? Like representation in media, dude. Like a lot of people think that it's just an issue that, um, in the negative connotation, only social justice warriors like to talk about. While you might think that's true, and you might not think it's very important, seeing yourself depicted in everyday culture, like from magazine ads to video games to film to TV. I can't tell you what a journey it's been to discover various media outlets, um, and people working to create experiences for people that have lived lives similar to mine. It's broadened my horizons over the years. When I was a kid, to be honest, like I had a lot of hopes, but I didn't have a lot of like ideas about how to achieve those hopes. And I see now in the generation after me that with all of these changes happening now, they are growing up more secure in themselves. Um, they're more able to stand up to various adverse situations they find themselves in. So I can only hope that with all these people at the helm, these hopes are eventually realized. Randy Fitzgerald is from Rochester, Minnesota, and has been an advocate for gamers with disabilities for over 20 years. He is the world's first quadriplegic professional video game player and has been featured in magazines worldwide. He is currently working with Facebook Gaming on increasing inclusive design elements in their platform and is also a content creator. Apparently, I need to go find you over there. Okay, I got you. Um, Randy was born with arthrogryposis, which means his joints are fused and not articulatable, and it's a genetic inheritable condition. Um, as far as I remember, he uses his lips and chin on a normal Xbox controller to play video games, and he's actually pretty damn good. Without any adaptive tech, he also probably is probably part of the Call of Duty legacy and the person behind the Nomad button layout. Yo, yo, yo. Randy's hope for the future of gaming is that we can continue driving accessibility forward and inclusive accessibility and inclusive design forward. Oops. Um, um, his hopes are that accessibility in gaming is no longer an afterthought. We are on the right track, but more needs to be done. This is so important to him and so many others because for many of them, gaming is their link to the outside world. It is their social life. It brings out the competitive spirit they didn't know they had inside of them, which is the thing I was talking about earlier. In gaming, in the gaming world, they feel truly very free. Yo, yo. Okay. Royce Payne. Royce is a senior computer science major at Morehouse College. Dude, killing it. In Atlanta, Georgia. He was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri area, and has been an avid gamer ever since he received his first Game Boy and a copy of Pokemon Yellow. Yo, that game almost made me fail out of high school. I used to take trips to the bathroom and be sitting there with my Game Boy Pocket, and I would just be playing Pokemon, and all my Pokemon were stupidly high level, and I was smashing dudes, and I was the master of the rare candy glitch. But when I got lazy, but it was such a fun time. Um, he is also currently a member of the Maroon Tiger gaming team at Morehouse College. Yeah. As the gaming industry and the subsequent communities continue to grow around it, um, grow and develop. Wow, I inserted words on it there. Um, voice Royce hopes there is more representation and celebration of Black, Indigenous, people of color, so that people of all backgrounds um, can grow and flourish in this space, whether they are professional gamers, content creators, or working in the corporate setting. Stephanie Rosales. Growing up in Southern California, Stephanie wondered if a career in the video game industry was in reach Since being a woman and coming from a traditional Mexican American household, it wasn't a common career choice. Believe me, Filipinos feel the same way. Um, she chose a degree in electrical engineering instead of wanting games, but eventually followed her dreams and landed a job as a QA tester at Naughty Dog on one of their biggest titles, The Last of Us 2. So many people on here worked on that. Very dope. Um, in an effort to expand on the already extensive accessibility options, she used her electrical engineering knowledge to build a more universal controller that would help players that need an alternative form of motor control. Dude, I so want to see a video of that. If anybody has it, shoot it to me. After the game's release, Stephanie joined Riot Games' most anticipated shooter, Valorant, as a QA engineer, which is like, you know, the dude in the QA department. Dude to me is a gender neutral term. I apologize if it's not to you, but I use it as a gender inclusive term. Um, to ensure the game is compatible across a wide variety of hardware and meets performance expectations. As a personal goal, Stephanie strives to get more accessibility options made in games. She has modified her Universal controller to be compatible with Valorant to show what can be possible in hopes for the gaming industry to build more accessible options for players. Stephanie continues improving inclusivity of the video games industry as a key member of the Riot Games Diversity and Inclusion Council and helps amplify the voices of underrepresented groups. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Steve Saylor is the dude. Like, I remember Steve when he was an intern at Tech TV / G4 Tech TV. He was one of my favorite people when he would get to be on camera. Like, I dig this man. I'm so glad I encountered you again, dude. Please keep it up. Steve Saylor is a Canadian content creator, accessibility advocate, and consultant in the video game industry. He has consulted with Ubisoft on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legion, and Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Part 2 to help make those games more accessible to as many players as possible. Starting in 2015, uh, his entertaining YouTube series, Blind Gamer, fused humor with a passion for playing games. Uh, with 5 years under his belt in video game accessibility consultancy, Steve not only saw, but had a helping hand in sharing and changing the inclusivity in video games throughout 2020. Throughout his younger years, video games were a huge passion of his, and his jump to becoming a part of the positive change in the industry has been one he's very proud of. For the future, Steve hopes to have a larger part to play in the industry, sharing information, consulting on upcoming projects, um, and helping allow fans of video games enjoy the medium. Gaming should be for everyone, and that future looks brighter every day. Tanya DePass. Yo, yo, yo. Let's do this. Tanya DePaz is the founder and director of I Need Diverse Games, a not for profit organization based in Chicago, which is dedicated to the better diversification of all aspects of gaming. I Need Diverse Games serves the community by supporting marginalized developers, attendance at the Game Developer Conference, by participating in the GDC scholarship program. Oh, so cool. And helps assist attendance at other industry events, and is seeking partnership with organizations and initiatives. Tanya is a lifelong Chicagoan who loves everything about gaming. Hashtag I Need Diverse Games. And Spawn Point and wants to make it better for everyone and more inclusive for everyone. She is a part of Rivals of Waterdeep, a live play stream on Twitch. I'm not going to check that out. A partnered
Twitch variety broadcaster, and often speaks on issues of diversity, feminism, intersectionality, and other topics at conventions. She's also contributed to publications at Green Ronin, um, Paizo, and Multicut Games, and is the developer of the fifth season of the RPG based on NK Jemisin's three-time Hugo Award-winning Broken Earth trilogy. I'm going to check that. I've been meaning to check that out. Thank you for the reminder. And creative director Into the Motherlands, Twitch-supported RPG, and actual play stream airing weekly on her channel. I'm gonna sub to this like as soon as I finish. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna do it right now. Give me a second. Dun dun dun. Alright. Alright. My bad, I had to do that. Additionally, she is a senior Annenberg Labs Civic Media Fellow at USC. I was going to say UFC again, but apparently I need to watch some cage fighting. She is also creator and director of Into the Motherlands, a new sci-fi Afrofuturist RPG developed by a team of all POC and Black creators, live streamed on her Twitch channel. Tanya is the programming and diversity coordinator for OrcaCon and GamerX. She often speaks on issues of diversity, feminism, race, intersectionality, and other topics at conventions. Her writing about games critique appears in Uncanny Magazine, Polygon, um, the WisCon Chronicles, Vice Gaming, Paste Games, Mike, and other publications. She is also editor of Game Devs and others. Tales from the Margins, 2018, CRC Press, and has contributed to the Advanced Game Initiative Toolbox, or Advanced Game Narrative Toolbox 2019. CRC Press. Tara Mustafa. All right, let's see. Tara Mustafa is an award-winning seasoned game designer and producer who has shipped over 10 titles in 15 plus years. Um, that's actually quite a few. She has worked with Backbone Entertainment, Microsoft EA, and Glow Up Games, one of my favorite places on the interwebs, on titles such as the Skate series, Monster Lab, and HBO's Insecure, the Come Up game. Um, Tara founded Code Coven in 2018, the first global games industry. Oh my gosh, founded a game industry. Ooh, these are good. Oh, I like accelerators. They're so interesting. Um, Code Coven provides marginalized developers with the skills and confidence they need to thrive in the industry, aiming to work ethically and empathically. I read that right, empathically. And with equity, diversity, and inclusion embedded into our DNA. Based in London, Tara lived in Montreal, Vancouver, and New York City, and is often spotted speaking at industry events. Um, she and Code Coven have recently been recognized for their work by Women in Games Global Awards and MCV Develop. Um, Tara also serves the advisory board for games studios and initiatives. That is really, really awesome. Yeah. Some of these things be making me want to cry a little bit. I am going to butcher his name. So I'm going to say Tulai Tetiger McNally. Alright, that's the best I can do. Is a director, inclusive design, and product development at Electronic Arts. There are so many good people that work there that I am like get to talk to, and I feel like ridiculously lucky. Um, and is responsible for establishing EA Studios' global approach to creating inclusive products and features that put players first. Partnering with EA development teams worldwide, um, beginning her career in video games industry more than 15 years ago at Sega and Square Enix, she later joined Electronic Arts to head up central development operations at BioWare Edmonton. And more recently, she was senior developer and director at DICE Stockholm. Talaya is originally from Turkey and raised in Munich, Germany. She also had the opportunity to live and work in countries across Europe and North America. An experienced public speaker and mentor with students and young professionals, she connects with gamers to listen to what makes them feel excluded or marginalized. Talaya wants players to engage with games in safe, fun, and positive ways, regardless of who they are, where they're coming from, to bring inclusive design and thinking to the core of game design. So I hold a Master of Arts degree in American Studies. I didn't know that was a thing. With a specialization in the history of innovation and civil rights, and a BA in psychology from Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich. Oh dear, I really need to eat after this. Alright, let's do this. Vic Bannister is a regular fixture of the European and African games communities and currently works as a sales and business development manager at indie unpublisher Lafayette. He mentors members of indie studios globally, is a contributor at thegamesindustry.biz, and currently the founder and editor of Games Industry Africa. GIA, well, that's super cool, and exists to shine a spotlight on the emerging games industry in Africa, as well as help develop the now and next generation of games industry reporters. His hope for the industry is that representation becomes the norm rather than the exception, with developers and creators from Africa making an indelible mark on the industry. That is something that really would be amazing, and I'm glad you're out there doing it. Also, larger developers devoting a small percentage of profits to supporting creative but struggling developers. Also, much needed. Strix. Yeah, I already, yeah. Whitney Strix Beltran is project narrative director at Hidden Path Entertainment. She is an award-winning Mexican-American narrative designer and writer with a master's degree in mythological studies. Dude, I did not know that. That is ridiculously dope. I am I'm kind of a Joseph Campbell, not my damn self. She's previously written peer-reviewed articles on myth, psychology, and play. She has done research with Carnegie Mellon's Human-Computer Interaction Institute and is a longtime advocate of diversity and inclusion in the games industry. Running panels, creating videos, organizing fundraising, and privately consulting with games companies to help gaming as both an industry and consumer culture become more welcoming now. Strix runs a private high-intervention mentoring program for marginalized devs entering the games industry with her husband Ajit George. In addition, she directly mentors women of color. On an individual basis, she is a prolific creator, often shipping additional projects on top of her full-time AAA work. Check out her tabletop horror RPG, Bluebeard's Bride. Dude, okay, yeah, that's gonna happen. And the mobile game, Hola Vista, Latinx Games Festival official game selection. Dope. She is looking for new ways to tell dynamic and inclusive stories through the medium of games. She is working hard toward a future where everyone can see themselves centered in the media that they love. Okay? These are the last two, homeboy. Whew. Okay, I'm hungry. I don't know how to say your name, bro. I want to say Xavier, but I don't. Or Javier? Or I don't know. Help me out, bro. I don't know. I don't want to mess up your name. I'm so sorry. Junior is director and narrative lead based in El Paso, Texas, where he considers his hopes for the future of gaming. One thing jumps to mind: sustainability. The average length of a game developer's career is 2 to 5 years. That's no coincidence. Um, that is also the length of the average development cycle for a single game. Yeah, exactly. Um, our production and design methodologies are creating a relentlessly hit-driven market and puts even successful studios in danger of folding with every successive title. If you want a real-life case study on how that happened, take a look at the videos of the trajectory, a few videos out there on YouTube on the trajectory of the, oh my gosh, Dead Rising franchise. Fascinating, fascinating, and it illustrates this point so well. Pushing the boundaries of our medium is a necessity. Pushing our industry to the brink, hinging the ability um, for our most talented creators to survive on the idea that they will never see a critical or commercial failure, or that the studio will never endure a layoff for profit's sake is not. Our players don't deserve the games we're making today. Our players deserve games that we can make 20 years from now with the perspective and skill of long, healthy, stable careers making virtual dreams a reality. This is pretty brilliantly written prose for Bio. I just want to throw that out there. He spends his days building that future for himself and his collaborators, and is honored to have his efforts counted among the future class. Zachary Hertzman, with the Superman shirt, dude after my own heart. Um, is a licensed social studies high school teacher in New York. He has taught global history, U.S. history, economics, U.S. government, um, and has been using video games to teach a literature course. I really want to hear more about this. Like, yeah, because I tutored for a long time, so whenever I hear somebody doing this type of stuff, it's an added thing that perks my ears up and wakes my brain up. He is also the founder of Hey Listen Games, a website where he creates and provides a curriculum for teaching of video games. Over the years, he has incorporated video games as essential text into his classes and makes all of his curriculum and lesson plans available for educators free. What? I'm gonna check that out. Um, uh, um, Teaching with video games can be a daunting task. Hey Listen Games access the perfect starting point for a game-based learning journey. Teachers need to meet students where they're at and utilize the resources they're familiar with. Video games have always been a part of his life, and he would love, and he would have loved to have a teacher bring his own passions to the classroom. I can't read today, apparently. Um, there are gamers in every classroom, and teaching with video games has the potential to engage students in unique ways um, not often found in traditional education. Okay, dudes. So it was not a shortish stream. It was a very long stream. I appreciate y'all for sticking it out with me. I'm a super hungry, kind of worn out dude. I need to go take a break before I switch gears and do other things. I need to grab some food, but I wanted to do this stream specifically because I wanted to highlight both people that I've encountered personally and people that I don't know, because these people are out there making games way cooler than they already are, which is mind blowing to me. And I think that it's important to acknowledge that if you come from a society that believes in the ideas of community and freedom, then inclusivity, by definition, cannot be an afterthought. Because if inclusivity is an afterthought, then you don't believe in community and you don't believe in freedom. I mean, by definition, that's not a perspective. Think about the definition of those words. With that being said, dudes, I'm gonna dip out. I'm gonna go eat some food, and I'll see you next week. Have a good day. One love, y'all.